Ian Renton is the managing director of Cheltenham and the West for the Jockey Club, and a formal consultation period is about to open on whether there should be a fifth day of the Cheltenham Festival. Ian, good morning.
Good morning, Nick.
Thanks so much for chatting to me this morning. Now, clearly it seems to be the subject that engenders the most fevered debate. Now, ever since you took over at Cheltenham, and it's been, a decade now, you've been asked about a fifth day for the Cheltenham Festival. Back in 2012, you said there's almost no chance of it happening any time in the near future. Even as recently as 2017, you were pushing it back a fair way. And just before the pandemic, it didn't seem that there was any great enthusiasm amongst the executive for it. What's changed in that time, do you think?
I think, as you say, I've now been there 10 years, or been here at Cheltenham 10 years, and the view when I first arrived was, we really wanted to build up the 4 days to something getting close to capacity. And until we were somewhere near there, what was the requirement to even consider a fifth day? I think probably in recent years, it's not just that the attendances are built up to what was a record attendance this year, but also there have been a number of people within the industry. I was just talking to a racegoer at Aintree on Saturday who said, are we ever going to have a festival on Saturday? So I'll be able to come. And I think we're increasingly looking at trying to widen the attendance to be able to allow anyone who wants to come to consider it. And that's why we want to go out and ask as many people as possible what their thoughts are, so we can actually just have a rational discussion rather than possibly what we've done for many years is sweep it under the carpet.
So with that in mind then, if you do want to expand the opportunity for people to come and give people an opportunity to come on Saturday, could you not simply go Wednesday to Saturday, thereby not, to quote the commonly used word on this, dilute the product?
These are exactly the questions we want to be asking people, and over the coming months, those are exactly the sort of thoughts we want to hear as to whether people would prefer that, whether that would work. We got to ensure whatever we do works commercially as well. As you know, the Jockey Club puts all its money back into prize money or facilities, and we wouldn't want to do something which is financially detrimental to us. I think the two things we want to consider are how we can ensure the festival is as successful as it is now in many years to come, whether that is keeping it as it is or whether there is another format we should look at to make it better.
I always feel when we're debating this, I've got one hand tied behind my back because I simply have got no idea what extra revenue would be generated by having a fifth day. Your team must have done countless hours work on this. How much richer would Cheltenham and the Jockey Club be for an extra day? Can you give us some numbers? Can you give us some data?
I think, as we said, we're not just looking at the potential of an extra day. We're looking at all possible means of a different format, and that's what we want to listen to. We want to hear the views of others. We've modelled many scenarios, and everyone naturally comes up with a different answer depending on what one's modelling. But I think what is much more important is the views of our existing racegoers, of our stakeholders, and of those that currently are not coming to the festival and might want to.
So who are you going to consult?
As many people as we can. We've started with our major stakeholders, and we'll be expanding that to talk to many racegoers, annual members, and any interested parties.
So when you say major stakeholders, is that sort of every owner with runners at Cheltenham, every trainer, riders?
It's a selection. It includes the media, it includes sponsors, it includes leading owners, trainers, and as I say, that will be expanded over the coming months to include every interested party.
But you see what I'm saying, Ian? It's really difficult to know whether you can kind of debate the merits or demerits of a fifth day at all, unless you actually know what it's going to deliver to the sport financially. I sense your reticence to talk about this in strictly commercial terms. Have you sort of felt that that wave of opinion that this is about sort of corporate greed rather than the interests of the long-term sport?
I think any suggestion of corporate greed is complete nonsense, really. I mean, as we know, and as you know, Nick, I mean, the Jockey Club, we put the money back into racing. Any additional funds we make from whatever we do will go back either into prize money, improved facilities, improved services for our racegoers and participants. So, it's not something that is being taken out of racing. Any improvement in our finances will go straight back into racing. But I think it's probably fair to say that is not the leading reason for following this route. It is to ensure that we don't just necessarily enjoy the status quo. That might be the right thing to do, but we know we've got a great festival at the moment. I mean, we can all be incredibly proud of the festival we've got, but we, as the Jockey Club, are custodians of that festival, need to ensure that in 10, 20 years' time, it is every bit as successful. And therefore, at the moment, we're exploring what may be the art of the possibilities, what other people think is best for the festival. So that's what we want to look at. And within that, we need to ensure that it is commercially viable in whatever decision we take.
Yeah, there's clearly got to be some sort of major cost-benefit analysis exercise performed on this for you to understand whether it is worth having the fifth day balanced against adding extra races. Have you given thought to what races you would add to the programme if you do go to 5 days?
I think that's always a matter for huge speculation. I mean, your guest earlier sort of came up with a couple of thoughts. Again, those are the sorts of questions we want to ask. If we were to go to another day, if we were to find another race or two, what those might be. We had the speculation when we brought in the Mayor's Chase as to what race should be dropped. So I'm sure if it's a route we follow, there'll be plenty of speculation as to what races might come in.
Yeah, so that could come back, that novice handicap chase, theoretically, as could one or two other things. So if you did go to 5 days, the theory has been that you would have 6 races a day, so you would only add another 2 races so as not to dilute the quality of the product too much. If you did only have 6 races a day, could you justify charging what you're charging people for only 6 races on a day's top-class racing?
I think that's a very fair question, and one of the questions we want to ask, because as I say, at the moment people enjoy 7 races. How much would it lessen their enjoyment if the suggestion was that we had 5 days of 6 races? Those are questions we need answers to.
But you would, I presume, Ian, would actively reject the idea that you could have 5 days with 7 races per day, thereby adding a further 7 races in total to the festival.
Yes, I mean, we need to be absolutely certain that the track is in the best possible order, and I think all of us involved in the festival will be of the view that 35 races would not be sustainable on the current tracks.
Could you manage 5 days consecutively, ground-wise?
I think, again, the questions need to be asked as to where those extra races would go, which courses they might be on. And these are many of the questions we'll have for the future. Once we have the views of people as to what they think is the best way forward for the festival.
Is there a feeling that this is a more pressing concern now to attempt to bolster the coffers because of the impact of the pandemic on the sports finances, and particularly the Jockey Club's finances?
I don't think there's anything urgent about it now at all. I mean, I think, as I say, we can look back on a fantastic 4 days racing just 4 weeks ago and fantastic attendances. So, in a way, we got the luxury of being able to look at this while we're in a very successful phase of the festival. There is no urgency. I think you said earlier, you're bored of hearing about 5 days for 10 years. And I think probably we've been hearing about it for long enough now that we actually think we need to do something about it and actually go and consult people, have discussions. It's probably fair to say we sort of try to ignore the clamour for and against for many years. And we don't think we can ignore it anymore. There's been speculation around the time of the festival every year as to whether we're going to go for a fifth day. And we think, let's look at all the options for the format of the festival, go and talk to as many people as we can, and just hear their views rather than have people speculating as to what we may or may not be doing.
Ian, you've got a fairly kind audience to my right here, in Neil Channing and Roger Varian, both of whom seem fairly philosophical about the idea of a fifth day to the Cheltenham Festival. That is not the case at large, it seems. There hasn't been a clamour for 5 days, has there? I have not heard anyone clamouring for an extra day.
No, I think you're absolutely right. There is no clamour there, but there is a lot of discussion about it. And, you know, reading the papers or listening to the media around the time of the festival, it comes up every year. So we think we just need to face up to the discussion and ask people what their views are.
So let me just get this absolutely clear. You, as managing director of Cheltenham and the West, you're not trying to sell a fifth day. You're not there as an advocate for a fifth day, saying this is how it should be, and this is why.
Absolutely not. I mean, we are there to listen to what people's thoughts are, whether major stakeholders or everyday racegoers. We want to know what their views are, what they believe in 10, 20 years' time the best format for the festival is. And that's the discussion we've now started.
So the idea that it's a done deal and Cheltenham has made its decision and this is just a cosmetic exercise, that is absolutely not the case.
Absolutely not the case.
Ian, thank you very much for chatting to me this morning.
Thanks a lot.
Ian Renton, the managing director of Cheltenham and the West for the Jockey Club. And my thanks to Ian for his thoughts.